Good morning everybody. We discussed our last class 4 main civilization in the world. Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, Egyptian civilization and Chinese civilization. These are the main 4 civilization in the previous class. Okay, today we discuss about the next part, then third lesson in your social science textbook, in search of earth secret. Third lesson, in search of earth secret. Earth's secrets. Secrets. Okay. The third lesson, in search of earth secrets. Earth's interior has a layer structure. Previous knowledge, the earth, physical part of the earth. Earth's interior has a layered structure. Each earth of layers has unique features. The different source from which we get information on the earth interior, volcanic eruption, data collected from mines, etc. Okay. The lesson, in search of earth secret. In search of earth secret. So many secrets in earth. Interior part of the earth. Okay. Earth interior has a layered structure. So many layered structure. Interior part of the earth, layered structure. Each of earth's layer has unique features. Features means unique. Okay. The different source from which we get information on the earth interior, volcanic eruption, data collected from mines, etc. Interior part of the earth divided into 3 parts. Which are they? Crust, mantle, core. Core divided by 2. Inner core and outer core. Okay. Interior part of the earth divided into 3. 3 parts. First one, crust. Second one, mantle. Third one, core. Core divided into 2 parts. Inner core and outer core. Okay. Interior part of the earth, 3 parts, inner core and 3 parts, crust, mantle, core. Core divided into 2 parts, inner core and outer core, the interior part of the earth. First one, crust. What means crust? Crust means outer shell of the earth. Crust means outer shell of the earth is called a crust. Okay. Then approximately 40 kilometers thick. 40 kilometers thick. Then 2 parts, continental crust and oceanic crust. Okay. Listen. part of crust. This part mantle. Then this part core. Interior part of the earth. First crust, second mantle, then third one core. Then first crust. Crust means outer shell of the earth. Outer shell. Outer shell of the earth. Outer shell of the earth. Then thickness approximately 40 kilometers thick. 40 kilometer thick. 40 kilometer thick. Then two parts of crust, oceanic crust and continental crust. Two parts, oceanic crust and continental crust. What is continental crust? What is meant by continental crust? Yes, continental crust is means seal. Continental crust is known as seal. What means seal? Continental crust is seal part. Seal means yes, silica and alumina are the chief content. Silica and alumina are the chief content. The continental crust is also known as seal. Seal means silica and alumina. Silica, alumina, Al. Silica and alumina chief content of the continental part, this known as seal part. Continental part means seal part. Then another part, oceanic part. Crust, two parts, divided by two parts, continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust is known as seal part. Seal means yes, silica and alumina are the chief contents. The continental crust is also known as seal part. Then sima. The next oceanic crust is sima. Oceanic crust is sima part. Sima means silica and magnesium. Silica and magnesium are the chief contents. Silica and magnesium are the chief contents. The oceanic crust is also known as sima. Okay, listen. Interior part of the earth, first part, outer shell, crust. 40 kilometers thick. Thickness 40 kilometers. Then crust part divided by two, oceanic part and continental part. Continental part means seal part. Silica and aluminium was the main content or chief content of this part. This is known as seal. Then oceanic part is known as sima part. Sima, S-I-M-A, sima, silica and magnesium. Silica and magnesium contain the main chief content of the silica and magnesium. This called a continental, oceanic crust and sima crust. Okay, sima. Then next part, mantle. Another part of interior part of the earth, mantle. Another part, mantle. Then first part, crust, outer shell of the earth, 40 kilometers thick. Then seal and sima or continental part and oceanic part. Then next part, mantle. Next part, Mantle, interior part, the second part of mantle, located bottom of the crust, bottom of the crust, then extend up to 2900 kilometer from the crust, 2900 kilometer from the crust. Two parts of mantle, upper mantle and lower mantle. Mantle divided by two, upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle made up in the silicon compound is in a solid state. Upper mantle solid state. Upper mantle solid state because the upper mantle made up of silicon compound. Silicon compound is in a solid state is called upper mantle. Then lower mantle located bottom of upper mantle is in a semi-liquid state. Semi-liquid state. Interior part of the earth is very heat. Okay. Then mantle, upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle solid state. Then lower mantle semi-liquid state. Okay. Then next, the last point, core. Core, central part of the earth. Core is the central part of the earth. Central part of the earth from 2900 kilometer to 6371 kilometer. 2900 kilometers to 6371 kilometer. Center part of the earth is called core. Core divided into two parts, outer core and inner core. Outer core and inner core. Two parts, outer core and inner core. Outer core are in molten state. Outer core means molten state. Inner core is in a solid state. Inner core solid state. Then outer molten state. Because the inner core is the solid state because due to the high pressure prevailing at the center is called inner part of core. Then solid state. Okay. Core is called Nife. Nife. N-I-F-E. Nife. Nife. What means Nife? Nickel and iron is also known as Nife. This area is nickel and iron. Iron means Fe. Fe means iron. Nickel and iron. Okay. Listen. Interior part of the earth is divided into three parts. Crust, very important area of this lesson. So many questions in this part. Crust, mantle, core. Crust is the outer shell of the earth. Thickness 40 kilometers thickness. Crust divided into two parts, continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust, Cl, silica and aluminium. Silicon content and aluminum content, main chief content silica and aluminium is known as Cl. Then oceanic crust, silica and magnesium. Chief content silica and magnesium, also known as cyan. Then next part, mantle, bottom of crust. Mantle, bottom of crust. Then 2900 kilometers from the crust, upper mantle and lower mantle. Upper mantle is solid state, then lower mantle is molten state, semi-liquid state. Okay. The last core. Core central part of the earth. Core means central part of the earth from 2900 kilometers to 6371 kilometers length. Two parts, outer core and inner core. Outer core is solid state, then inner core is solid state, outer core is molten state. Then core is called Nife. Nife means nickel and iron. Nickel and iron. Okay, clear? Then next, lithosphere and asthenosphere. Lithosphere and asthenosphere. What means lithosphere? Crust and upper part of the mantle together are known as lithosphere. Listen, lithosphere, crust and upper part of the mantle. Mantle, two part, upper part and lower part. Upper part and mantle and crust together. This part together, lithosphere. Okay, crust and upper part of the mantle together is known as lithosphere. Then bottom of lithosphere, where the materials exist in a partially molten state. Partially molten states is known as asthenosphere. Okay, crust and upper part of the mantle is known as lithosphere, and asthenosphere the bottom of lithosphere, and where the materials exist in a partially molten state is known as lithosphere. Okay, lithosphere. Then, okay, clear? Then we discuss the next part, the different types of rocks. Then igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, three types of rocks: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Three types of rocks. The important rocks of three types of rocks. First one, igneous rocks, then second one, sedimentary rocks, then third one, metamorphic rocks. Look at the chart. Three type of rocks. First one, igneous rocks. Igneous rocks is the mother of rocks, father of rocks, primary rocks, and etc. Igneous rocks are formed by the molten rocks materials rising through the fissures in the crust, and the solidifying either on the surface of the earth or within the crust itself is known as igneous rocks. Listen, igneous rocks are formed by the molten rocks materials rising through the fissures in the crust part, and solidifying either on the surface of the earth or within the crust itself is known as igneous rocks. For example, granite, basalt. Igneous rocks example, granite and basalt. These rocks is mother of rocks or father of rocks or primary rocks, then first rocks, okay, and so many names, okay. Second one, sedimentary rocks, sedimentary, fossils, sedimentary means fossil, sedimentary rocks, rocks undergo weathering in course of time. The deposits so formed will be deposited in the low region. Deposited, fossils, deposited low regions are layers. These materials is gradually get lithified and transformed into a sedimentary rocks. Then fossils, rocks. Rocks undergo weathering in course of time. Okay, course of time. Look at the textbook. Page number, you can see the page number 44 and 43 and 44. Okay. Then sedimentary rocks example, sandstone and limestone. Limestone, for example, sedimentary rocks. Granite and basalt example, igneous rocks. Okay, clear? Then third rocks, metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks. Then third one, metamorphic rocks. When rocks undergo physical and chemical changes, physical and chemical changes due to high temperature, physical and chemical changes in the rocks undergo, and due to high temperature and pressure, metamorphic rocks are formed. Metamorphic rocks are formed is called metamorphic rocks. When rocks undergo physical and chemical changes, then physical changes and chemical changes due to the high temperature and pressure, metamorphic rocks are formed. For example, marble, slate, marble or slate, marble or slate. Then igneous rocks example, granite, basalt. Then sedimentary rocks example, sandstone and limestone. Then metamorphic rocks example, marble and slate. Marble and slate. Okay. Very important example for very important. Okay. We discussed the interior part of the earth. Then three types of rocks. Then next we discuss the next part, weathering. Next part, weathering. Then we discuss the next part, weathering. Next part, weathering. You know the different types of rocks. Okay. Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Then next, weathering. They undergo various changes with time, such as disintegration or decomposition of rocks is known as weathering. Okay, they undergo various changes with time, such as disintegration or decomposition of rocks is known as weathering. Main three types of weathering: physical weathering, biological weathering and chemical weathering. Three types of weathering. First one, physical weathering and mechanical weathering. Physical or mechanical weathering. The expansion and contraction of minerals due to the variation in temperature result in weathering. Disintegration also occurs due to the freezing of water in the fissures of rock is called physical or mechanical weathering. Three types of weathering. First one, physical weathering. First one, physical weathering. Physical weathering is the expansion and a expansion and a contraction of minerals due to the variations in the minerals due to the variations in temperature. Variation in temperature result in weathering. Disintegration also occurs due to the freezing of water in the fissure of rock is called physical weathering. Then second one, chemical weathering. Second one, chemical weathering. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, etc. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, etc. react with the minerals and result in the chemical decomposition of rocks is called chemical weathering. Okay, chemical things, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water react with the minerals and result in the chemical decomposition of the rocks. Then third one, biological weathering. Mean by biological weathering, the plant root, the plant root penetrating into the fissures in the rocks, burrowing the animals, and the decomposition of plant and animals remains lead to the weathering is called biological weathering. Apart from this, human activities such as mines and quarrying also lead to biological weathering reason. Okay, three types of weathering. First one, physical weathering. Second one, chemical weathering. Third one, biological weathering. Okay, listen, look at the chart. Physical or chemical weathering. The expansion contraction of the minerals due to the variation in the temperature result in weathering. Disintegration also occurred due to the freezing of water in the fissures of the rock is called physical or mechanical weathering. Then second one, chemical weathering. Oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, etc. react with the minerals and result in the chemicals decomposition of the second chemical weathering. Then third, biological weathering. What is meant by biological weathering? Okay, biological weathering, the plant roots penetrating in the fissures in rocks, burrowing the animals, and decomposition of plants and animals remains lead to the weathering. Apart from this, human activities such as mining and quarrying also lead to biological weathering. Okay, so are the three types of weathering. Then look at the textbook, page number 47. Weathering and humans. The next, weathering and humans. Then 4 pictures. Look at the following pictures. What are the human activities led to the weathering of rocks? 4 pictures. First one, quarrying. Second one, mining. Third, deforestation and construction activities. So many pictures. Okay, quarrying, mining, deforestation and construction activities. Weathering helps human in many ways. Minerals in rocks help the mining, gas hold the formation. Look at the part. Then read the part. Okay, we discuss the 3 chapter, the secret of the earth. Interior part of the earth, 3 part of interior part, crust, mantle, core. Crust divided by 2, continental crust and oceanic crust. Continental crust Sial, oceanic crust Sima. Mantle, upper mantle and lower mantle. Then third core, inner core and outer core. Then next lithosphere and asthenosphere. Then 3 types of rocks. The last one, weathering, 3 types of weathering. Okay. Okay, take your notebook, write down some important questions. Question number 1. Draw a interior part of the earth. Locate the main parts. Okay, which are the main parts? Crust, mantle and core. And explain. And explain. Okay, look at the textbook, page number. Look at the textbook, page number 42 and 43. 42 and 43. Okay, interior part of the earth. Then question number 2. Write a short note about lithosphere and asthenosphere. Question number 2. Lithosphere and asthenosphere, short note. Then question number 3. Explain main important 3 rocks: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks and metamorphic rocks. Then fourth questions, look at the page number 45. Rocks from the, identify the picture, then complete the, identify the picture, complete the flow chart. Igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks, igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, then arrow, then process. Okay, then next last question, explain weathering. Explain weathering. Explain weathering, question mark. Then 3 types of weathering: physical weathering, physical weathering, chemical weathering and biological weathering. Explain. Okay. Now we wind up the class. We see the next class. Okay. Thank you.